Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 6th and we got non-farms payroll today, which is the big thing. Futures down a little bit overnight, and it looks like Georgia has flipped to Biden for now. Man, I don't know. Ain't nobody gonna be happy, no matter how this turns out. Okay, volume profiles. E-mini. A little bit of down movement in the futures overnight. I have to say, that some of the action that we saw yesterday looked incredibly like trader driven, and I'm not surprised that the futures have come off of those levels because the FOMC did not deliver anything, and a lot of people were buying because Fed's gonna buy stuff forever. So yeah. Now here in the treasuries here coming off of their highest levels as well. So the future in the treasuries seems incredibly uncertain to me right now. Oh my gosh, the squawk is talking in my ear right now, and I just can't. Okay. Yeah, the treasury just seems so uncertain to me. I don't know what it's going to do from here. Okay, oil is coming down as well. Gold took a pretty good jump up yesterday, man. I don't know what to think about this. It's like I don't see the case for gold to be moving, but good for them. Copper up a little bit too. And all of the metals seem to be kind of moving up like that. So, and then the dollar. Is it just the dollar? Dollar getting weaker, I guess. I guess it could be just the dollar continuing to weaken. Then we come back over here. Interesting action, but and you can see the treasuries kind of pushing down on the lower side of things. Let's see here. What's this guy saying? What's pretty amazing is that with insiders and more mainstream political people, this is felt as more of a GOP victory, especially when you look at the state level. I think Dems are nervous about 2022. Also, Harris is just a terrible presidential candidate. Yeah, she would be. Goldman Sachs moving up to $60 billion of assets to Germany on Brexit. Wow. That's a lot of money. It sucks for the London office. Katy Perry is going to be performing in China. When I hear Republicans are considering asking Sean Hannity to speak with Trump, and it's probably not. Here's the thing that you got to understand about the situation in the Republican sphere and in the media sphere. Okay, so first of all, the media are doing something very unethical, in my opinion, because they are not reporting on this without bias. The reporting should be, here are the allegations of fraud. Here are the situations where they say it's fraud. Here's what they would have to prove in order to, win a court case. Here are the filings that have made in courts. Okay. And the biggest example or the biggest thing that the Donald Trump campaign has a lock on is that they're not allowing their poll watchers in to watch the counting process. That's a really big deal. I don't think that people realize how big of a deal that is, because if that goes to the Supreme Court and ballots get tossed out because of it, even if nothing actually happened, you know what I mean? Like, that's a really nasty situation, and the media is not really reporting on it. Instead, the media is trying to report on it, like not reporting on it, and then push the narrative that nobody's listening to Donald Trump anymore and he's irrelevant, like that he's already lost. So that's very unethical. And the problem that it sets up here is that the Republicans literally won, and they're going to be pissed. If the Republican Party does not come back and, well, you know what, I should talk about this after non-farms, because non-farms is like in 10 seconds. Bum, bum, bum. Let's do this. Well, the micros are way too thin to trade. Okay, it's higher than expected. I can't believe that filled. Average hourly earnings 4.5 versus an expected 4.6. Payrolls through 638 better than expected. Unemployment rate less than expected. It's all of the numbers look good. Hours pretty much the same. Non-farm payrolls higher at 906 versus 700,000. So they actually lost the jobs in, oh my gosh, 3,000? Really? Yeah. Okay. Well, I got a lucky one there in the treasury, even though it was only like 3 ticks, but whatever. Maybe they push further. I think they could. But I wanted to get out at the first like exit, and given that they weren't filling me at my other one, I was at 22.5, right? Let's see if they hit. And you see, they're kind of being a little sketchy about it. Now the E-mini did move up. The liquidity is coming back. It's still really light. I don't think I want to trade it. Gap down, open bearish. If they close the gap, I'll still short it. Okay. Well. Yeah, I'm wondering if not. You do the non-farms payroll. It's good. They move up a little bit and then turn back down. I've certainly seen that sort of a thing before, haven't we? Where it's like the initial move is like exactly what we expect, and then for the rest of the day we're confused at why it's not continuing. How many times has that happened to me on non-farms, huh? Yeah, it would make sense. Okay, so back to Republicans. So here's the issue. If the Republicans don't fight, so at this point the Donald Trump base believes that there is something shady going on, and they have every right to, because their poll watchers aren't being allowed in. Like, why would they not allow the poll watchers in? I saw a video where they were kicking the poll watchers out, and the Democrats were cheering about it. How can you not think that there's something going on in that situation, even if there's not? And I'm not saying that there is or there isn't, but the reality is that the poll watchers have been removed. Okay. Cardboard windows, yep. And then that's the one that's really crazy, right? Is they kick the poll watchers out, and then when everybody's trying to watch through the window, they cover up the windows? Like, why would you do that? That makes zero sense why you would go through that much effort. You're just dumb. Or you're doing something wrong. And there has been, so in Nevada, there has now been a suit brought where they claim that they have 6,000 ballots that are non-residents, or that didn't meet the 30-day resident requirement, that could get thrown out. That's like 6,000. That's a lot. All right. So that's more than the margin in some of these states. So Republicans literally have no choice but to fight this tooth and nail in the courts. You understand? Like, the media and the Democrats are all trying to goad them. They want them to just abandon Donald Trump because the reality is that they just want things to go back to normal. If anybody thinks that that everything's just going to go back to normal in the Republican Party, they are sadly mistaken. And all of these never Trumper guys, they will never have a place in the Republican Party ever again. Mitt Romney will always be hated by the base. I don't know if you'll ever be able to get rid of him in Utah unless like Jason Chaffetz runs against him, but you know, he's never going to be liked. He will never will be. And the base, if they think that the race was stolen, what do you think they're going to do next time around? You really think that they're going to turn out en masse if they think that no matter what they do, the Democrats will find a way to find more ballots? Especially if you're losing a state like Georgia. Georgia is like a nightmare scenario for Republicans. Yeah. If the Republicans don't show that they are doing everything they can to fight against any possible fraud, real or imagined, if they're not going to the courts and trying and settling it wherever they can, the Republican Party is dead. They will just abandon them. So the idea that they'll get Sean Hannity to speak with Trump and have him give up or something like that is patently ridiculous. If they did that, it would be the end of the party. It would be the end of the party. And if Donald Trump were to back off now, it would be the end of him. Honestly. They're going through with it. They're going to challenge every possible instance of voter fraud that they believe is happening out there. And they're going to find some that are proven. Probably this one in Nevada, where they say that people that were non-residents, that were non-citizens or didn't meet the residency requirement, that sounds like they have a solid case. Okay. There are a number of instances that I've seen online where people claim that their family who are now dead voted. Right? Those are going to get prosecuted. Now, will it be enough to flip the election? You know what? I think that if if Fox calls Georgia for Joe Biden, then it's probably over. But the Republicans are still going to fight it through the courts. No. So yeah. Anything that so going back to Winston's thing, I would wherever you're hearing that from, I would like not trust that source. Okay, well, they're coming back nicely in the E-mini. And the Treasury is kind of back where it was, where I got my original entry. It wouldn't be a Trump venture if it didn't end in a lawsuit. There you go, Jeff. There you go. Well, I mean, look, they have the right to have their poll watchers in the building. The idea that you can count votes with that and deny entry to one campaign's poll watchers, I'm just flabbergasted that people think that they're going to get away with that. And yeah, I'm really concerned that ballots are going to get disqualified over that. Because that would be potentially legal votes, right? But what's happening in Pennsylvania is like they're counting them and then they're combining them together. So that even if a court case came back later and said that all of these ballots that came in
Trump
late,
declaring victory early was a trap.
All of these things like these ballots were late and they should be counted separately. They're basically combining them together so that they can't do that. So then what is the court supposed to do? They can either declare the whole thing invalid, or they can just say, okay, well, you got it. And if they say, oh, okay, you got it, then man, can you believe? Are you sure the official
Winston's
poll
mom says, "Are you
watchers?
sure the official poll watchers were denied
Yes,
entry?" Or do you believe that from the
100%.
tweets?
No. So Corey Lewandowski, Donald Trump's former campaign manager, okay, was there in Pennsylvania and was denied entry. That's like they're on video. Okay. It is absolutely 100% confirmed that the poll watchers in Pennsylvania and in Michigan and in numerous other cases have been denied entry and kicked out. And there are no Trump representatives watching the vote count in those areas. That is 100% confirmed, no question about it. And there has been a court case about it. They went to court, they went to the Pennsylvania court, and the Pennsylvania court said that they should be given access. And they went back with the legal paper, and there's video of them still being denied. So that is 100% confirmed. I gotta be careful because I won't be going in and saying things that aren't true. So I'm focusing in on the one thing that is 100% unquestionable happened, right? There is then an election observer for American election, or what? So let me explain to you the way the process works, because I don't think that most people understand this. When you're doing the vote canvassing, a lot of things happen. So, for instance, let's say that it's a bubble sheet. Okay, let's say that it's a bubble sheet, and you went in on the bubble sheet, and instead of filling the circle in all the way, you just put an X there. Okay. When they run it through the machine, it won't run. It'll say that you didn't vote. So what they do is they go through the ballots by hand, and they look at it and they go, oh, okay, well, it looks like this one didn't run correctly because there's no there's an X here, so it's obvious that they were trying to vote for Donald Trump, but it didn't catch it because they didn't fill it in all the way. Okay. So then what do you do is there's the poll worker, and there's going to be a representative from each campaign. And the representative from each campaign will say, yes, it's very clear that he was trying to vote for Donald Trump there. And then what the poll worker will do is he'll get another ballot, and he will fill that other ballot out correctly with the choices that the voter was intending to make, but in a way that the Scantron will be able to read. Okay. And these are the sorts of situations that they're going through. So to not have a representative from the campaign allowed to be in there and watch that process is extremely important, because you could literally flip thousands of votes if you don't have somebody else there to say, oh, no, he was very clearly trying to vote for Joe Biden in that instance. You see how this works? Not to mention all of the stuff about, if it was postmarked and valid and all that stuff. Now, the thing that I think is really difficult, and this is where the media will play the like he's lying game on you, okay, is that the states allow mail-in votes to come 3 days after the election. And they will count it as long as the postmark on it is before that day, or before election day. Okay. So there was one case where a whistleblower has come out and from the United States Postal Service and claimed that their supervisor was telling people to postmark mail with the wrong date so that they would still count. Okay. That's fraud. Mail fraud. That has happened. But there can be ballots in some of these states that will come in up to 3 days after the election that are, according to their rules, valid. Okay. Now, let me explain to you where it gets complicated. in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, and I think this was the last election. In Pennsylvania, the law says that it has to be received. That it has to be received by election day. If it's not there in the office by 8:00 p.m. on election day, it doesn't count. That's what the law says. That's what the legislature voted on. You can go and look that up and you can look at it. Okay. There was a court case where they said that they should count if they were postmarked before the election. That's not what the law says, but there was a court case, and the judge ruled that ballots can be received up to so many days afterwards. Okay? That's that, and so it was essentially the judge changed the law. Okay? So the contention is that the judge in Pennsylvania was doing something unconstitutional, that he changed the law. Now, the thing that's crazy about it is that the law also states that if the ballots aren't received, that if they start counting ballots that are received afterwards, that all mail-in votes are invalid. So, if the Supreme Court does what I think they would do in this situation, well, I don't know exactly what they do, but if the Supreme Court were to rule that this judge overstepped his bounds and the Pennsylvania law as it is written is the way that it should be applied, then all mail-in balloting in Pennsylvania is null and void, which would be crazy. I'm not so sure that the Supreme Court would do that, but you see where it gets complicated. Now, let me ask you a question. You've been watching the news. Did the news tell you all this stuff? No. Like, I was watching before Donald Trump's press conference. Oh my gosh. It's just the same thing that I'm always seeing, and it makes me so mad. So like before he went on, it was CBS, and all CBS was doing was, oh, this election, the integrity of this election is so unquestionable. It's the most secure election ever, and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here like, okay, so then let the representatives watch the votes, right? They're not even talking about that part. And then Donald Trump gets on, and they stop through his press conference saying, well, he's making false claims. If he claims that there was voter fraud and that there's evidence to back it up, like, that's not like a false claim. That's like you're saying something, and that's more like you're making an announcement. Like, the Donald Trump campaign is saying that they're finding a lot more stuff and they're going to push it illegally. That's news. That's not something that you can fact check per se. You fact check it when there's a court case and they say something like objectively untrue about the court case. You know what I mean? So then everybody, the news is like the Donald Trump's crazy press conference. It was like a really boring press conference. Are there not different election rules depending on your states? Yeah, that's 100%. 100%. But I think in most of the states that, well, so let me back up. In the states that are still counting, the case is pretty much that the votes can be received up to 3 days after the election. Okay. All of the other states, like Florida, for instance, why they're done? Because they don't have those same rules. Right? And this is where I say, like, Republicans, if you value the vote and you want to win elections, you don't want mail-in voting. Because this is what happens. And you can see when you go into the results, and now this is where it kind of gets really fuzzy, is you can go and look at some of the statistics, and some of the statistics about the vote that's coming in is really quite suspicious. Like when it comes in and like the turnout is way higher than anything else that's ever happened. Okay. But then, you have places where maybe they were like 70% for Clinton and now all of a sudden they're like 90% for Biden. Is like, what? How is that possible? But seeing a statistical aberration in the data doesn't prove fraud. So interesting. So a nefarious character at the post office could delay the ballots and impact the count. Yes, potentially they could. Joe Biden's lumbering ass got a higher turnout than America's first. Yeah, well, that's just because everybody did mail-in voting. Like, come on, if you send everybody a ballot and they can just turn it in the mail, you're gonna get higher turnout. No duh. That's not necessarily a good thing. I've been trying to say. I don't know. In my area, when I voted in the 2016 election, okay, I went down to where I vote. Or no, it wasn't the 2016 one. It was 2018, okay, the midterms. When I went to vote for the midterms, I went down to the school. There was literally nobody in line. I voted at the machine. It printed out my receipt, and I was done and gone in less than a minute. Okay? In my opinion, the person that doesn't go down to the school and do that, but does end up filling out does end up filling out a ballot by mail and mailing it in, I don't want that person voting. They couldn't be bothered to drive down to the school to do it, but them all, I don't want that person voting. That's me. In 2016, Trump was declared the winner on election night, and for 4 years we had to listen to how it was a fraud. Well, I don't know if they said it was a fraud, but it sure was annoying listening to how his presidency was illegitimate. Everyone just stops counting as buckets of ballots appear in the dark of night. Of course, multiple days, and suddenly it's legit. But that's the thing, Uzi. That's the way that it works in that state, is that the ballots can continue to come in for 3 days. Maybe you should have a law. This is why it's so fucked up. Maybe you should have a law that says that votes don't count if they come in after election day. And guess what? In Pennsylvania, they did have a law like that. And the judge shot it down. The judge changed it. You can't make this stuff up. I have extreme social anxiety and almost never leave my house. Yeah. Sorry. You know what, man? This is the thing, is it's always going to be like, you take a position, and I think the way that a lot of people in politics try to operate is they're going to come up with a pity scenario, right? Here's something you got. There was a big deal about this a couple of weeks ago, argument about this, right, in the public media between Ocasio-Cortez and all this stuff. Guys, in politics, empathy is just a strategy to control you and make you do things that you would make you do things against your own interests that you wouldn't otherwise do. The only purpose of it in politics is to make you do something against your own interests. Period. You know it. You all know it's true. You can say that that's extreme, but it's true. It's the truth. You come in, your interest is going to be this one thing, and then they're going to say, oh, but you need to have empathy for these other people, and so then you're going to do something that's against your interests. That's the only point of it. Right? Here's the thing. If you actually go in and you do what you should do based on logic, then there are going to be instances where you're going to do something that might seem non-empathetic, but in the end are really better for everybody. And it's just like in trading. It's like, am I supposed to feel empathy for the guy on the other side of the trade and not take the trade because they're probably trading in an area that's foolish or something? No, no, don't work like that. Beware of politicians trying to manipulate your emotions for their gain. Okay, well, the E-mini is probably going to have to moderate here a little bit. But I don't think that they're going to like sell it per se. The Treasury did eventually fall. I guess, I was thinking, well, I could sell it. I could try selling it again and see if it goes, but I decided against it. Guess I was wrong. But I don't know if I really had like an actual trade there, so like whatever. Well, I'm just getting now. Wait, why? How come I don't have it up? I'm just getting in now over the squawks that Biden has taken the lead in the count in Pennsylvania. So here's another thing. If Biden ends up winning every contested state, if he wins Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and heck, let's just say North Carolina, he wins all 5. Like, come on. You're just, regardless of what the truth is. Excuse me. Do you see how you get this thing where regardless of what the truth is, you've got a problem on your hands? An NBC News decision desk's projection now says that Joe Biden is president-elect. Trump has 49.3 and Biden has 49.4. Oh, Biden is ahead by 5,000 votes. You gotta be kidding me, man. Yeah, and U.S. Postal Service found 1,000 more ballots in Philadelphia. Okay, so Dan H, they showed on the news a video of a poll worker ripping up Trump votes. So this is an instance where I want to go back and talk about the way that the process works. So if, for instance, there was a ballot where their intention wasn't clear or something else about the ballot made it, a null ballot, then that is what they do is they rip it up and throw it in the trash, guys. That's the whole balloting process is to determine to go through each ballot and make sure that all valid ballots are filled out correctly. That's why you're supposed to have a representative there from both sides, is so that somebody can say, no, that one should be legitimate. Yeah. But without a poll worker there, here's the thing is that without a poll worker there, we can't really say that that's what was happening. Because the cameras don't have enough detail for us to be able to see what was actually on the ballot to say if what he was doing was correct or not. Does make a new vote since there's too many issues and make it digital? Well, like here's the thing that's crazy about it is that the most likely scenario is that, well, this probably will go through the courts, and I'm not sure that the courts will overturn the results. And then guess what? I don't think that any of these states are going to change their laws. In fact, I think that the reality is that then people will push to make it like this in more states where ballots can be found days afterwards and so on and so forth. I got to tell you, Republicans, if you want to win elections, you've got to stop the mail-in voting. They're giving him Pennsylvania. They're giving Biden Pennsylvania all of a sudden. So I think that the way that they're deciding that is that he's ahead in the count right now, and the remaining votes are likely to tilt Biden. So I don't know. I think at this point, if the media was responsible, they would just not call anything anymore and let the state do it. But Decision Desk HQ, and they don't even say that it's NBC's Decision Desk. That's freaking retarded. Okay, well, is the market going to react to this? I don't think that they're going to react to it because I think that people already were thinking overnight that Biden was definitely going to win the count. Banking, insurance, taxes, medicine, all digital. Yeah, and there's like a lot of digital fraud on all of those things. I think you could make voting digital, but I haven't seen anybody show a system that is really secure yet. Yeah, I mean, as long as I don't know, man. We went over this yesterday, but I will do it again for you guys' benefit. Okay. Um, the Republicans control the Senate and actually made gains in the House. So here are now. Oh, I will give you one speculation, and one speculation is that Nancy Pelosi may not be the Speaker of the House anymore. They're pretty upset with her, and if Nancy Pelosi is no longer Speaker of the House, that could be a big change. Okay. But with Republicans in control of the Senate, there's not going to be any serious legislation passed in the next 4 years. And in addition to this, their prospects for Democrats in 2022 don't look very good. Okay, especially if Republicans are pissed and want revenge. But if you have a Joe Biden presidency, what is the effect of the Joe Biden presidency for us? And as was explaining yesterday, there are 5 major things that Joe Biden has said that he will do that he can do with executive action that could affect the markets and affect you that you should know about. Okay. Number 1 is that Joe Biden wants to change the asylum laws and the policy about stay in Mexico and everything else that Donald Trump has done on the border. So if Joe Biden implements his border policy, you will see another border crisis. And all of those areas will be absolutely flooded with people. And I mean, the number of people that you're going to see coming over the border claiming asylum is going to be insane. I mean, it's going to be, that's what if the media isn't talking about this every day, then but it will be the story because it was just going to dwarf what happened under Obama and President Trump. Okay. Very significant. And yeah, that has effects on businesses and stuff, right? Number 2, Joe Biden has said that he would shut down if the experts say to. He doesn't really have like the authority to do a national lockdown, but he could still try or at least encourage them to do that. So if coronavirus is still rising by the time that Joe Biden gets put in, that's a real possibility. And Donald Trump is not going to shut down in the halfway through here. Okay. So Donald Trump, and there'll probably be an argument over it in the lame duck. Okay. There will not be a stimulus deal until after Joe Biden becomes president because Donald Trump has refused. It says that they will not do that. I guess that's the 6th thing, really. But so stimulus will be later, and it will be less because of Republicans controlling the Senate. Okay, right? Number 3, gun control. Joe Biden has said that he's going to do gun control. So I would be buying. I bet you that gun stocks probably have way more upside. Yeah, like that one's like pretty crazy. Environmental regulations. So I would expect Biden to put back in place almost all of the regulations that Donald Trump got rid of from the Obama era. And that's going to affect a lot of countries. I think I missed one. Yeah, I'll think of it later. Anyways, those are all things that you can trade off of a Joe Biden presidency, isn't it? You killed all the mink in Denmark. Yeah, that was kind of a crazy thing, but I'm not so sure that that's really something to be worrying about or thinking about, but how many times have we seen something and we ignored it and then it really did end up being a thing or didn't and vice versa? Oh boy. So I'm going to go through. I mean, I got an okay trade in the treasury. I don't know if, well, I mean, I would prefer to go for a short over here, but we're kind of in a spot where I don't think I can do it. I might be able to do it in the E-mini. I don't know. That one's a tough call. Why day trading is such an incredibly bad idea right now and what you should be doing instead. Listen, guys, from that perspective that they're going to be using to talk about day trading is never a good idea. I just want to make that clear. Okay? If you have a chunk of change and you want to get the best return on that chunk of change possible, don't day trade with it. Literally, don't day trade with it. The probability is that you're going to make more money if you just put it into some stocks or put it into an S&P 500 fund and hold it for the long term. In the long run, you will make more money. You will. Unless you like get lucky with options and stuff, the probability is that you will make more. Right? You should only be trading because you enjoy it. Well, yeah, there you go. Dan says, I only trade because I enjoy it. Here's the thing. Somebody has to do it. All right. And you have to understand how these people that make a ton of money from day trading make it. Okay. They're in the industry. They're constantly trying to find new edge, and they come across the change in the industry where, because they're there, they're able to take advantage of it. Really great example. You can go and watch the trader, Talk with Traders with Anthony Crudelli. At one point, Anthony Crudelli was trading 10% of the S&P 500 E-mini contracts. And on 1 year, he pulled $1 million out of the markets. How did he do that? He was able to do that because he was there on the digital side, trading electronically when it just started out and became the market maker that was trading at every price. And he was able to pull $1 million. And that's how, and then after that, the industry caught up and the robots took over. And then he wasn't able to make money doing that. He lost some of it. And then he changed his trading style. Right? So if you're doing what we're doing, then the idea here is first you've got to enjoy doing it, and you want to be as good at your craft as possible, and you want to always be trying to push the envelope and trying new things and finding new edges. And the hope is that at some point you will come across an edge that you will be able to take advantage of for a short period of time that makes you a lot of money. Now, we just saw one of those in the options industry. I don't know if it's still there anymore, but for people in options, there was a time where there was probably a lot of people made a ton of money from options, and a lot of people have given it all back already. So, that's day trading. Futures trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. That's simple. Doesn't mean you can't make money doing it. Just means it's not suitable for all investors. And those articles that say it's an incredibly bad idea right now, well, they're probably right. For the vast majority of people, it probably is an incredibly bad idea. Air cages. So this is somebody that has explicitly said that he doesn't day trade it. I just started day trading this morning and I have not lost it yet. Oh man. Well, I feel incredibly unsure what to do here. Eh, actually, I think actually that might have been an okay spot. Apparently, the EU is going to put tariffs on the US over aircraft stuff. Market not reacting to that. Oh, my resting orders one died already. I fixed that though. Both of them died. Yeah. That's frustrating. It's just that one chart. I have this issue with this chart where at the end of every bar it tries to write out its cash. And I guess sometimes if you get two bars that come through at the same time, they're trying to write at the same time, and then you get an error. And I fixed that error, but then I'm still getting an error on it. So I'm thinking that is my solution is not sufficient enough. I guess I have to do something when I try and write it out. I'm not sure. I have to make it happen again and debug it. What do cannonballs do when they're in love? Make BBs? I don't scale up immediately. Oh man, I tell you what, when you scale up, you'll almost always lose money for a little bit. So you just factor that in. A bunch of people liked my comments yesterday about Bitcoin. They've kind of pulled back a little bit, but they're still up there. We should put that down though and look at the E-mini and focus here, huh? Because then we're gonna get like year long 34.99. Yeah, it wasn't the best price. I feel like that this news that I'm hearing over the squawk about aircraft subsidies could potentially affect the market, but they're not moving right now. That might be just because Boeing's not trading really. So I don't know. That one's tough. So there's a big order there at 34.96 that was left behind. We'll see what they do with it. They kind of look a little hesitant to hold it. I don't know if I really want to front run it. Well, we'll try it. He might disappear or move up. We'll see. 119 is not that significant, but they're clearly reacting to it. The treasuries just continue pushing down. Market maker not really holding it in those spots. Oh, really? I just heard over the squawk that Donald Trump is going to concede. What? Well, they might rally off of that. If that means less uncertainty, they might rally off of that. So let's just hold this here. Treasury's pushing down pretty aggressively there through some market makers at 17.5. Margins are too high for me. Yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that after all of the hubbub of last night that they're going to concede, and they're not going to go through with lawsuits and stuff. Of course, then does that mean that so then the next question is he going to run in 2024, right? I don't think he should, but this is Fox reporting this. Ron Paul 24. No. Screw Ron Paul. Okay. $21 and $50. Okay. Oh wait, we're not even to the overnight high yet? Oh no, yesterday's high was yesterday's high. I expect we should see yesterday's high. If this news is not real, I'm a little skeptical, to be honest. I'm just really surprised that after a lot of what I was hearing from them yesterday, that they would concede without going through with the legal fight, you know? We'll see what he does. Man, it really is quite crazy to think, like, how do you get Joe Biden as president? What the? Really? I think that they're just going to sequester Joe and he's never going to be allowed to speak ever. But, yeah. Joe Biden as president is a little crazy. I know. I guess Joe would probably be more likely to compromise on things. Significantly less credit. I don't know about that one, Jeff. I'd be on it. Like, when he first decided, well, okay, I will take you on the journey of me watching Donald Trump. So I remember when Donald Trump was, trashing Obama all of the time. And I think I liked him because of that. But I always I knew some stuff about Donald Trump. I remember watching that documentary about him on CNBC and stuff at the time, and my thinking was that this guy seems incredibly volatile, but that he is able to get good people around him because he is so like just demands the best and isn't afraid of firing them. Um, so he could maybe get some stuff done. Okay. So then I don't really think about it. Like, I remember joking that because people wanted Ron Paul to be president at the time. And I remember joking with the guys on this forum at the time that like Donald Trump had a better chance of becoming president than Ron Paul. So it wasn't like I thought that it was likely that Donald Trump was going to run or become president. But when he started to run, I was there for, it was immediately was like, okay, well, the media is misconstruing what he is saying for sure. Right. And that was it. And I was just like, well, this will just be entertaining. I don't know how he will do against the other people that are running. Like Marco Rubio is probably a really good candidate, you know? And then I watched the debates, man. And from moment one, I was just rolling on the floor laughing. I was like, I can't believe the things that he's saying. He really shouldn't be doing all of this, but he's like getting away with it, and I think it's hilarious, and I love it. And then but I didn't think that he would be president or anything. But then I started watching all of the other Republicans candidates just like fall flat on their face every time. Like the best example was when Marco Rubio like repeated his line twice, and Donald Trump called that out. I was like, what is going on? How are our politicians so incompetent that this guy is beating them? And at some point after the primaries, I was like, well, there's things I like about him. I like the platform that he's running on at the very least. I don't know if he'll win, but then by the time Donald Trump won Georgia, it was like, oh, he's going to be president, so let's just get together with it. So at that point, I was just along for the ride. You know what I mean? And so when I look at it, going back, I'm not surprised at all that Donald Trump became president. From that debate on, I felt like he was a serious contender, and them pushing him as a serious contender before all of that. There was a lot of like the media was pushing it and stuff, but I think it was inevitable either way because the other politicians were just so incompetent. So now with Joe Biden being president, though, that I still can't for the life of me figure out how he won that primary. Other than that the other candidates they have were really just that bad. I really don't get how he won that primary. Especially when it looks like his brain is just going every time that he's out in public. But he's always been like that. He's just like a walking gaffe machine. This is the guy that like canceled his presidential campaign twice. Because of plagiarism and other stuff like. Yeah, so at the moment, the market is kind of saying we're not sure that we believe it. Just like I was. Maybe I should have taken the profits when we were up there at the tops, but we weren't quite to where I thought we were going to get to, so I didn't. So there was a source 22 minutes ago saying that he wasn't going to concede, and now we're getting one just recently saying that he was going to. But I just have a really hard time believing that he's not going to follow through with any lawsuits. Well, we got to be really careful about headline manipulation here, right? They have the world on a pathway for total control. Well, I don't know about that, but the thing that you got to remember is that the Republicans control the Senate, and I mean, as long as they control one of those two, and then they really control the Supreme Court. So, Joe Biden's going to be able to do things that might be, bad for the economy, but he's not really going to be able to do the things that Republicans are truly worried about, the things that would, push the country down the path to socialism. Statement from Susan Collins. States have the authority to determine the specific rules of elections. Every valid vote under state's law should be counted. Allegations of irregularities can be adjudicated by the courts. We must respect the outcome of elections. I agree with her. I mean, I think that they should follow through with any law. Even if he concedes, I think that they should follow through with any lawsuits. You know what I mean? Time for civil war. Don't be silly. It's not going to happen. Like think about it from the perspective of Republicans, okay? You have them on the ropes, and literally the only reason that this isn't like complete Republican control of everything is because some people hate Donald Trump so much. Right? Well, Vanny says he absolutely expects Trump to run again in 2024. I hope he doesn't. If he concedes, I hope he doesn't. I hope that they should let somebody else take over. What he should do, Tillis might lose, and NC that might be true. I think that Purdue will win the runoff, though. Okay. There was a little slip there on that one. I'm just gonna hold it, and if they go back to the stop, it's fine. I was lucky to catch what I did. Okay. Well, they're Edison Research finally calling Wisconsin for Biden. I have to say, in North Carolina, like if North Carolina doesn't go for Trump, then I'm really like, what? I'm really shocked that Georgia ends up coming close because we're like, well, there's no way he's going to get Georgia. And then we looked at the margin and everything, and we did the math. Remember? So I'm really quite shocked that Biden could get Georgia. Of course, he hasn't yet, so it could still change. But okay. So no, there was a little slip there that kind of looked like headline risk, but I don't know. That I didn't already take one over there, right? That was the first one. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they're saying that even with a recount in Wisconsin, that's unlikely to change. Wow, on the popular vote, Biden leads by 4.1 million. The other one that I find it really weird is the number of people that went and voted and only voted for Biden. You find that one suspicious. But let's just assume that there's nothing bad going on there. That many people voted just because they didn't want Trump in office anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, Biden to run again, or sorry, Trump to run again, he really shouldn't run again. I would advise him to start a network. He should start a network. He'd have way more power if he started a network because they don't like the Republican Party doesn't like Fox anymore. They feel like that it's been changed. And there's like One American News and there's Newsmax and stuff, but I don't think that anybody's like really excited about them. I think that he should start a news network. If Trump concedes, all lawsuits will be declared moot. Is that how it works? I mean, that's what I was kind of thinking in my head, but I was like, I'm not sure, so I didn't say anything. Well, Bloomberg says race too close to call in Pennsylvania. I don't know, man. Well, let's wait. I'm sure that if they're going to do it, that Trump world would be pushing back against it almost immediately. Like, I'm actually surprised that Donald Trump hasn't tweeted yet. And that kind of makes me think that maybe it really is true. Fifty Goat says, I do appreciate you streaming daily. Thank you very much. Make sure you click that like button. I know that you guys like it. You get it. But I sure love to hear it. You know what is so funny is like I apparently I am the kind of person that likes the praise. You know what I mean? But anytime that I'm like, in a one-on-one situation and people start praising me, I'm immediately like, what are they after? You know what I mean? This is talking to this one guy in the end. I won't say who they are, but and he was like saying really like he was trying to butter. It was like so obvious he was trying to butter me up, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do X, Y, and Z. So I think he wanted me to do something, so I wasn't gonna do. I haven't heard from him in a while. I don't know. So on the open, overall net buying, some excursions on the downside though. Trying hard. I think that we could move up. I'm gonna stick with it. Anti-democratic rhetoric. You're being silly, Plan B. Why is it ridiculous to say? Why is it like anti-democratic to say that illegal votes shouldn't be counted? Okay. Well, we're done. I wish I had taken the profits. Now they're saying this election is not over. A smattering of White House and campaign aides tell me they're feeling deflated. Realization setting in that Trump's bid for re-election is likely failed, even as the campaign pushes out statement that this election is not over. All right, well, you know what? That's why we got stops. I feel like that was one that was worth holding out for, but I did kind of know better. I did kind of say I'm not sure I believe him. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I should have done there. Trailed it, I guess. Okay, well, now we're on the downside here. Because of the volatility, they've created quite a bit of room to move. Oh, they actually touched 85, huh? Hmm. Yeah, I'm at a place in positioning where I actually like it okay for a long, but they're already kind of came back up a little bit too fast for me for one, and they're not like overextended on price. So if they flip up here, I'm not sure that I really have a good enough setup to really take it yet. I'm not in a position, so why does it have this over here? That's funny. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm definitely not in a position, so. I can't do this reboot crap. By the time they click, they're up 10 points. Having a junkie son that does nukes deals with China is very democratic. They don't have any plans for. I'm cooking a brisket. You come down. You come down. We can have some brisket. Trump on course to win Arizona outright. Morgan says, okay. Hmm. And Team Trump is now retweeting that thing too. So they are pushing back on it. Well, it's quite sticky there now. Volume is down. Okay. Oh, wow. Seller's strong there, apparently. I guess so. Guess they want to go all the way. What's this? I'm kind of wondering, was that just like a, well, some people are saying it's a pump and dump. CNN's John King just said the president cannot win. Well, if he loses Georgia, you can't. Yeah. Like, here's the thing is it really is to a point where it's like, even if you find a lot of fraud and stuff, you might not win. Right? I think that they should go through and they should try and prove all of the fraud, and let's, like, people should have finality on it. Like, there you don't want this thing overhanging like, oh, Donald Trump should have won, but because they cheated. No, it should be like, no, they took it to court and they found that they took everything to court that they did, and the reality is that he lost, right? Mm. Well, that one went back pretty fast. Whoa. They came back on him, and somebody decided to sweep him for like 600 contracts up there. Intraday looks like a nightmare. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't that bad, to be honest. Keeping an eye on the treasuries because they've just been falling and falling and falling, haven't they? They're back to where they were 2 days ago. Yeah. Funny VIX didn't move, really? I don't know if I mentioned it, but the headline going through right now is Pelosi to seek another 2 years as Speaker. Why does she want to be Speaker so bad? They should fight that. The nation would be much better off with somebody else. I'm just going to assume the market is broken and is going to squeeze all shorts again. Well, I don't know. I do feel like there's way too much momentum chasing on this market. The scary thing for governance is that even non-crazy GOP politicians are afraid of the Trump-loving base and will keep denying the legitimacy of a president who won by millions of votes. They will, yeah. If they don't take it to court. I'm kind of also wondering if this is a case where Donald Trump has spoken to some advisors and has decided that he's going to concede, and that the whole campaign doesn't know it yet. And so when they saw that, they put out a statement that they're gonna have to take back. Nobody I've spoken to on the campaign or in the White House believes that Trump would ever publicly acknowledge a loss, even long after the election is certified. I mean, this when they talk about it, it's kind of like he would run again in 2024. Even though I really don't think it's the right thing. If Trump loses, no, we're not doing that. The funny thing is that none of that stuff really ultimate. Like the sentiment of it, Trump conceding would certainly be positive, but there's other reasons for the market to move up. Yeah, no riots. You guys see this thing with Bannon yesterday, where he was like, he should fire these people, and he should like draw and quarter them and stuff. And then they were all complaining about him getting taken off of YouTube. I'm like, are you kidding me, guys? You can't say that kind of stuff. Like, I get everybody uses hyperbole and might say something that they shouldn't from time to time, and I'm sure that I have, even on stream. But you shouldn't say those like, you have a responsibility when you're speaking to large audiences to be careful about what you say. And Bannon saying that is just like the perfect reason for me. Like, I've always been mistrustful of that guy, and it's like the perfect reason for me to be like, know what, you really don't want him at the forefront of your movement. He wants them to fire the director of the FBI and Dr. Fauci and all these guys. Yeah. So Bannon was saying that he wishes that they would like behead them and put the bodies and the heads on opposite ends of the White House, is what he said. It's just absolutely irresponsible and not appropriate. Tesla's at negative 2.3 today. Well, it's Tesla. Who knows what it's going to do? 4X Live. Would Trump ever concede? Yes, I think he would. I think he would concede, but I also think that he wants to go through the court cases because he believes there's fraud. Well, we've got quite a nasty range here right now. Although it is kind of looking like they might resolve to the upside. The volume is definitely to the upside. The market volume is. So we'll see if they're able to push through. You know, they kind of got this little spot up here up at the top that they want to get. Like, we haven't had a bar where they closed above the high or whatever. And it looks like we're about to get that right here. So here, let's see if there's volume comes in to one right here. No. Oh, okay, maybe now. Jeff Bennett, the mood in the Trump campaign is deflated. There's exhaustion and apprehensive about a days-long wait for a concession that may never come. Aides stop getting paid on November 15th. They are worried about what happens with legal battles that go nowhere. So, having just made the little stretch that the buyers needed, and they get swept down again. Well, the amount that's trading at each price is not bad, but I'd say that the movement here is way too free. It's just kind of all over the place. Thank you, Ed Morrissey. The decision by states to push mass mail-in balloting with no preparation, prevent election day counting, and ignore statutory deadlines on delivery created a cloud that may never pass. Let's face it, mail-in balloting was a disaster. I agree. I'm extremely opposed to mail-in balloting. Always have been. Needless to say, there will be a lot of questions about the slow roll from election night results to today's endgame of an apparent but not yet certified Joe Biden victory. The most frustrating part of those questions is that they could have easily been avoided, especially given the months of preparation we had. The decision by states to push mail-in balloting with no preparation to prevent election day counting of those ballots and to ignore statutory deadlines on delivery created a cloud over what should be a transparent and efficient process. Several states then compounded those issues with their lack of clarity on the number of outstanding ballots and attempted to lock observers out of the process in key states. Add in flexible rules and procedures around mail-in balloting, and it's easy to see why the spectacle undermined confidence in the results of the election with a large number of voters. The Supreme Court should get some blame for this in Pennsylvania thanks to their punt on statutory deadlines at a time when the state could have corrected the system to abide by its own law. Amen. You realize that if they had just had it to abide by that, then it'd be done. They'd be done counting. I don't know if Donald Trump would have won after that, but had states properly prepared for this with more efficient ballot systems, and especially by starting the counting process of mail-in ballots on or even before Election Day, much of that confidence sapping could have been avoided. It's true that we are probably too used to getting results quickly, but it's also true that it's entirely possible to achieve that. Look at Florida, Minnesota, Ohio, and a handful of other states whose totals were quickly tallied. They have efficient ballot systems, complete with paper ballots for possible recounts, and a rational manner of dealing with counts for absentee ballots. Quick and accurate results with minimal human intervention and within pre-established rules build confidence. Dragged out results with real changes and lots of human intervention do not. On Tuesday evening, no one would have been terribly surprised to hear Donald Trump had lost Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. The latter two had been trending towards Democrats for the last few election cycles, and PA is normally a Democratic state in a presidential election. Anyway, So are Wisconsin and Michigan for that matter. But dragging this out and counting the mail-in vote for days after Election Day vote turned into a disaster for voter confidence, without which a democracy cannot operate properly. Well, when I'm looking at the action here, it looks like there is a seller that is kind of insistent, but they're not like going his way. So we'll see. Does that mean the results are fraudulent? Well, we'll have to see what evidence comes to the fore, but consider what happened in the down ballot races. If widespread fraud took place, then it should have impacted races all the way down the ballot. As we have learned, though, Democrats lost races in the House and Senate that they figured they had in the bag, and they lost state legislative races as well. They didn't have a single conversion at the state level. Certainly, the presidency was a big prize, but Senate and House races aren't small potatoes, and Democrats were counting on state legislatures for control redistricting next year. Florida learned from its 2000 disaster and made its election system one of the best in the nation. The states that turned the 2020 election into a game of smoke and mirrors have a lesson this time. Lesson to learn this time around. So stocks are relatively easier than futures. So the advantage in stocks, hold on. It's the squawk. What's going on? Canadian IVPMI, nobody cares. So the thing, it's a totally different game. So here's a couple of advantages with stocks. Stocks tend to move up, and you're not using leverage, so you can stay in a position for a really long time, and you can swing trade the stock or whatever, what have you. And you can use options, which allows you to more clearly define your risk. Okay. The disadvantage is it may be more difficult to gain an informational edge in stocks because what's going on at the company and the things that would really affect the stock are not going to be pieces of information that you're going to have access to. You don't get as much data about the positioning or the order flow that you have, so it's not really very suitable for really short time frame trades. And you don't have margins. So man, I got killed there. So you have to have a lot of money to really make any kind of real money with it. So that looked like they stopped out all of the people they got in through that range, but it didn't like completely fall apart yet. So I'm not sure if I don't think I'm gonna do it again. And then you get that sort of a thing. Okay, that's a little better. How many times can I buy it? Be back. Okay. Now they want to go long, huh? I'm ready to just screw it. Hmm. Well, volume kind of all of a sudden drying up, I think. What? Uh, kind of realized that I wanted to screw around, so I was like, "Oh, switch accounts." Okay. Kidlow on television, apparently. I have a risk reward of 1 to 5. Is it too much? I guess it depends on how often you win. You could go back through and you could look at your MFE and MAE stats and you could calculate out if you would make more money if you brought your target in. Let's see here. PA presumably did not separate late ballots following that SCOTUS order, so they will be all in one pool. So no subsequent court ruling can offer a remedy short of invalidating the whole state's vote, and that's not happening. Actually, court ruling that is violated will prevent PA from officially calling it. It's a complete mess. Yeah, it is. Pennsylvania is a complete mess for sure. And in that respect, it's actually probably better that Joe Biden wins Georgia and all of the other remaining states in no matter so that he doesn't need Pennsylvania. Otherwise. Kudlow, the president intends to keep on fighting that legal ballots are counted. Hmm. Hmm. So apparently the campaign is arguing about whether they should concede. Donald Trump just tweeting Philadelphia has got a rotten history on election integrity. You know what's going through my head right now? This is a completely like unrelated to anything else that's going on, but I don't know why it's like it keeps going through my head. I was rereading the story about, it was from tradingschools.org, where it was like an interview with a spoofer, right? And one of the things that the spoofer said is that they had to like season here. Let me go and read it. They had to season the account. Interview with a convicted spoofer. The first step is that you must have at least 500,000 in order to be given access to place a large block of potential positions. This is the minimum amount, and this would work more thinly. Markets like soybeans or silver don't even attempt it on financial futures because those markets are way too deep. For crude oil, you should expect to need roughly 1 million. The second step is to find someone with a clean record, someone you can trust, like a friend, relative, etc. You need to open a smaller account in their name with a smaller amount. Then you need to season the account by adding more funds slowly. And then you start placing short-term trades, but not attempting to manipulate the market quite yet. After the account is seasoned for a while and the balance is high enough, you will have not raised any red flags. You then prepare for the manipulation event. So is it that they have to season it so that you don't get flagged for stock manipulation? Or is there some other benefit to seasoning the account? It's important to bear in mind that the political campaigns are designed by the same people who sell toothpaste and cars, yeah. Well, lately, not Donald Trump's campaign. Donald Trump doesn't use focus groups at all. Kudlow, I think there will be a peaceful transfer of power. A lot of people pointing out that the movement in the markets is pretty erratic. What's disturbing is media saying no proof of fraud. It goes against logic. None happened at all. Well, that's true. I mean, so when they say there's no proof of fraud, I agree with you. I don't feel like that they are fairly covering it. Like in Nevada, the state GOP says that they have a list of 6,000 votes that came in that are invalid because they either don't meet the residency requirement or are not legal residents. Okay, so what do you call that? Yeah, it's happened. The question is just to what extent, right? Because some people over on the Donald Trump side think that this is like a coordinated conspiracy. On InfoWars the other day, they're playing this video. They're saying, here's how they teach you. Here's how the educator teaches the Democrat ballot counters. First thing you got to do is get rid of the Republican ballot counter so that you can do your cheating. But there's, it's just audio and that could be totally fake. Kudlow doesn't look happy in that picture. Holy crap. Look at his freaking face, man. He looks like he's about to cry. Well, I think there will be a peaceful vote. His face, he does not look happy. Holy crap, he looks unhappy. McConnell wants to move on a targeted stimulus. Hey, it's a stimulus, boys. Buy all the things. No? Do you really think that Joe Biden got it fair and square? Here's the issue, guys. Like, let's just. How do you? What exactly do you think is going to happen? How do you think this works? Oh, there's voter fraud. Oh, okay, guys. I guess we have to invalidate the whole election because you said that there was voter. It doesn't work like that, guys. You got to prove shit. You have to take it to a court and you have to prove it in a court of law. Do you have something that you can use to prove in a court of law that something happened? Or that you can use to get a warrant to investigate more? In Nevada, they have a list of people that they know haven't lived there for 30 days or are not legal residents, and they can get those invalid. This is great, right? In Pennsylvania, they know that the ballot counter representatives from the Trump campaign were not allowed to watch the counting process, even though there was a whole court case and everything over it. Okay, that's actionable too. But all this other stuff, like this idea that that they're stuffing the votes and everything, and that they're just pulling votes out of nowhere, or that there's some team of people out there filling out votes and then postmarking them with the right date and filling them out and just making more and more and more over the past 3 days so that they can catch up. You got to prove that sort of thing, man. And if you don't have any evidence, you might as well not bring it up. As much as I hate, I mean, I don't want Joe Biden to be president, but so Trump's lawsuits are basically nonsense because he does not have proof. Well, the thing is there's like one or two significant lawsuits that I think have a fair case, but those lawsuits on their own aren't going to flip the election, guys. Probably not. Unless they're somehow going to invalidate like the entire state of Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? Maybe some fraud here and there. I mean, I don't know. Like the thing is it's incredibly difficult to prove, right? Especially if there really are just people like sending in fake ballots. Like, how are they doing that? The thing that I find so incredibly frustrating. I need water. Hold on. Okay. The thing that I find so incredibly frustrating is that the Trump base has essentially been conditioned, at least the online base, has essentially been conditioned to chase after everything. They think that there's a conspiracy under every door and that it can be possible. And because, one or two 4chan messages turned out to be true, that there can be this whole thing with, like the Q thing is like a perfect example. Any idiot can go on 4chan and make up any kind of ridiculous claim that they want. And then you will have these people going over to the Donald.win and reposting it like 20 times a second. And if anybody's going there trying to like actually get information, it's just like, it's a mess because it's just the same stupid crap popping up over and over again because they're resubmitting it over and over and over. So they think that like if it gets saturation that people will believe it. This is total nonsense. And so now you got all these people chasing after phantoms. So they're like, okay, well, here's a picture of a person on film changing ballots. And they're like, no, that's not how it works. They can fill out a new ballot if the ballot like wouldn't run through the Scantron, but it's clear what the voter's intention was. Things like that. And so I'm seeing all of these cases where people are like posting videos and stuff, claiming stuff. And I'm like, that video doesn't prove that at all. Nothing's going to happen. And you get all of these people that are like absolutely convinced that there's been like a massive fraud and that everybody just looked the other way or something. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with Dunning-Kruger. It really doesn't. That to be, man, you're kind of getting me here, right? So let me get into something else. When there's a whole idea that it's like Donald Trump supporters are really stupid and not that smart, and they're falling for his dictatorish personality because they're prone to it. It's total bullshit. It's absolute nonsense. Okay. Here's the reality. All people are susceptible to conspiracy theories. Everybody is. All people are susceptible to disinformation. Everybody is. there's only a very, very small percentage of people like myself out there that anytime we hear anything, we think that's probably bullshit. I'm not a normal person. And frankly, the only reason that I'm like that is because I'm on Adderall. So, man, you get what I'm saying? I hope that doesn't offend anybody, or you're like, oh, I don't know, Seth's going off. Maybe I should stop watching. But this is just the way it is. So you kind of got this whole thing. I'm not on Biden's side. Yeah, he's like, sounds like you're on Biden's side. Okay, just messing with me. It's just that here's the thing. Now, just assuming. Well, I'm not. I didn't say that you were saying that I had Dunning-Kruger or anything. When I'm saying that the way that Dunning. Let me expand upon that. The way that what the research was showing is not what people try and say about Dunning-Kruger. So what people try to say about Dunning-Kruger is, if you think you know what you're talking about, that must mean that you're actually stupid. But what the researchers were really trying to say is that it appears that what matters more to your intelligence and mastery on a subject is working hard for it. And the people that think that they're naturally gifted and don't have to work hard for it end up not actually being very good at it. Because effort ends up mattering more than raw talent, essentially. That's what they were trying to say. From when I read the study, that's what it looked like they were trying to say. And I think that, yeah, I think that it gets grossly misapplied, especially in the area of politics. So you keep trying to see all of these psychological explanations for why people support Trump. Let me explain to you why people support Trump. Because they like his policy and he does what he says he's going to do. And his policy is screw the establishment. They've been screwing you over for years, and we're going to ignore them and do what's good for you. That's why he's popular. Period. Anybody else comes along, that same message, and is able to actually do it effectively, they will be just as popular and just as loved. And I'm sure that the media will fight against them just as hard. Like if Ted Cruz becomes president, I'm sure that the media will come out and they will try and portray Ted Cruz as a racist. I'm sure that they will try and find a way to make him look racist. They'll definitely say that he is going to try and impose a theocracy on us. This is the way that it works. And like I said, most people fall for it because most people don't really question information that they're given. That's like the way humans evolved, was to not question the information received within tribe. Without Adderall, I would probably be not as good at trading and way more distracted, and it would be very difficult for me to give complete sentences or give a rant like that. But I would probably also be a little bit more empathetic. Basically, the Adderall causes my logical part of my brain to become so much stronger than everything else that all I'm thinking about is the logic. This isn't actually proven. This piece of information doesn't actually prove. You can't take that to a court of law and prove that. How do you go? Well, you got to go to a doctor. I have a ADHD specialist doctor. And they can do tests on you. Like there's like the self-tests, but there's like actual real tests they can use to prove. I definitely have it. I'll tell you that much. I don't know. You've seen like my streams where I do it later in the day. I'm very different. But I'm also on Strateris, so I'm not really. Yeah, so Ritalin. So here's the thing with me, Matt. Why are we getting into this? I don't know how much I want to talk about it. No, it's okay. You're okay. I take Strattera, which is a norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. That it works like it is an antidepressant classification of drug, which isn't to say that it's you take it for depression or anything, but that it's, it has to build up in your system to create the right neurochemistry balance, right? And that does a pretty good job at helping me be focused because it's norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is kind of the thing that, like, when like when it's a really tense situation, like you're really scared about your position and you start to focus on it really, really hard. That's norepinephrine is causing that. You also, when you're like in a social situation and you get the high from the social situation, that's norepinephrine. But ADHD has issues with both norepinephrine and dopamine. So, Ritalin, it kind of helps, but again, it's more on the norepinephrine side. So I take a small amount of Adderall for the dopamine side of it, which is to mean that it's like what'll happen is without that, you'll be like incredibly logical and focused, but absolutely no desire to do anything, if that makes sense. So yeah, I it helps the trading. Getting extended, bulls pushing their luck. They're on an okay trajectory. Jordan Peterson is an expert on the matters that he talks about and has a lot of valuable information to share, and has been frankly unfairly maligned for other opinions that are like completely irrelevant to the things that he spends most of his time talking about. If you want to understand things about the the psychology of personality, there is nobody better. Nobody knows it better than him. He is the worldwide expert on this. And he is a worldwide expert on, I mean, he's a leading psychologist. Like, that's why they hate him so much, because they go in on these like social justice warrior battles and he's arguing the other side, and he has all of the data on all of the studies and points out all of the flaws in their what they're saying. But he said something that was kind of religious one time, and so they're like, "Oh, he's crazy." And frankly, it's kind of weird that a person in the area of psychology evokes so much hate. Somebody was like, "I take everything that he says and throw it in the trash." It's like this something wrong. There's something wrong there if you've been driven to hate, to dislike what somebody's saying that much just because they're an expert in the field. No. He is a guy. He's just a guy that is an expert on psychology stuff, and if he's talking about the things that are within his domain of knowledge, he's probably going to have really good information to share. And if he's sharing something about his own personal beliefs, who cares? Yeah, he has been sick. That whole thing is like crazy, crazy, crazy. And I have to say, the things that Jordan Peterson says about like life approaches are just incredibly great motivation, and well, not just motivation, but man, this is the thing where I'm like, I always get really shocked by how much liberals hate him. But then when I go onto the Reddit threads and you see the things that they're talking about that they hate him for, there are things that, like, if you go and you like I'll get shown Jordan Peterson videos from time to time on TikTok, right? So the things that they hate him for, those are never things that I see in those videos. I don't think that they're ever things that he's ever said in videos because they're like personal opinions of his that they hate. Because he is a religious conservative. And of course because he's beating them. He beats them in arguments. That matters too, but freaking we're talking about Jordan Peterson. It's funny. It's unfortunate that he was the one that he, had all those medical issues because he was like going to put together a social network that with what he knew about psychology, and I was excited. I was like, that could be really good and positive thing. Instead, it was is Bannon is the one that's over on the right that is like at the head of everything. Is like the last guy that should be leading any kind of a political movement. It's been proven that religious people are more intelligent than atheists. Go find that study for us. Go find the study. I could go look it up, but I'm too lazy. You know what's the one that I find funny? Is they did a study, and this is very easy to search for. Just search for conservatives understand liberals better. They did a study where they said, okay, think that pretend that you're a liberal or pretend that you're a conservative. And then they would present a hypothetical situation and they would ask, okay, what would the conservative or what would the liberal think in this situation? And they found that the conservatives understood what the liberals would want to do in that situation almost perfectly. And the liberals didn't understand what the conservatives would say at all. So I've been reading Reddit the past few days, and the big thing on Reddit is like, how could so many people still vote for Donald Trump and vote for Republicans and everything like that? And then you go and you read the comments, and they're like, well, this is what Republicans think. And you read it, and you're like, no, this is not what they think at all. This guy was going on about, conservatives believe that there is a social hierarchy and that this social hierarchy needs to be maintained. And they think that they're at a top position in that social hierarchy, even though they're not. And blah. And I'm like, no, that's not effing it at all. Where do the people get this nonsense from? And there was just so many people saying so many things that were like just so incredibly like, you to say some of that stuff, like you must have like no sense of self-awareness or self-reflection to be saying these things about the other side and not realize that you are completely clueless. You don't know a thing about what they think. It happens all the time. What does feminism mean to you? I'll tell you what feminism means to me. I think it's a word that people can use to describe anything that they want, and it's just a word. This always comes back to the argument where it's like, what is the thing that you want to have happen? Right? What is the thing that you want to have happen? Do you think that women should be paid more than men because of systemic discrimination? I don't believe that. A lot of people that call themselves feminists believe that. That's why I said it's just a word, right? It's a word that has had a positive connotation in the past, and so everybody wants to be called that. That they should be treated. So that's the thing is third wave. That's the thing, Ace. So if you're going to define feminism as that people believe that men and women should be treated equally under the law, That's not what third wave feminists believe. Like the whole intersectional hierarchy is basically premised around the fact that we have to treat underprivileged groups differently so that they can be on an equal playing field, right? That's what they believe. And I feel like I understand what they believe really well because I read a lot about it. I read what they say a lot. Mm. You don't want men and women to have equal rights? Do you believe that men and women don't have equal rights right now? What would be an example of a place where, under the law, men and women don't have equal rights? Is it smoking? Should be at 225. Well, you'd need to turn the dial to 225 now that it's smoking. I think that what's happened is it's too windy to cook it. I think we maybe you should bring it in and just turn the oven to 225. I was trying to smoke a brisket, and when I went out there, it was off. And it's probably been off for 2 hours, so we had probably lost. I don't think I'll be ready by dinner time, so you have to cook it differently. I got out there and I'm like, it's too windy, but I didn't have anything to do with it. What are you trying to say that he's saying? You're like putting words in his mouth, Ace. Don't do that. There you go. What the market is willing to give you depending on your skills. Very good. The thing that I just think is so wild about that argument is that it's like there's already a workplace discrimination act. Like men and women are equal under the law. There's anecdotal evidence that women are better traders than men. Yeah, that's true. Did you read the most recent article from Goldman Sachs about this? Where they were saying that, a lot of people said that women tend to do better than men because of their approach to risk, which made sense to me. But when they looked through at the portfolio managers and their portfolios and everything, they found that the women were just as willing to take the risk on as the men. And so they were arguing that it had more to do with just the decision making process. I'm talking about rights. What right? Sorry. So in order to have this conversation, Ace, you're going to have to specifically enumerate a specific instance where men and women are not equal under the law. Equal pay for equal work. We already have a law that gives that. Well, I think he's trying to say that men and women are equal under the law already. And it sounds like you're trying to say that they're not. So it sounds to me like you're the one that needs to give an instance where they're not equal. So who is against feminism? So this is where I think you have to understand what we're actually talking about and don't use the word. Okay? So I'm not going to use the word feminism because I can abuse it to make it mean whatever I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a word that's more specific, which is third wave intersectionality proponents. Third wave intersectionality proponents believe that certain classes have been abused by other classes, and that in order to have equality, the law needs to favor those other classes to equalize things, right? So, do you believe that a woman should be paid more than a man because women have been historically disadvantaged? And I'm going to bet that your answer is no, right? Well, then you don't agree with modern third wave feminism, intersectionality. There you go. Yeah, right. Now, there's a second part to this argument, which is that there's discrimination against women because men want to get rid of abortion. Well, and then that's a whole different can of worms, right? But I don't really consider that to be like an issue with feminism as so much as it is an argument about when does life start. Yeah. I think your comments are being too vague. You're trying to type too fast. Anyways, this trade, I'm wondering if they're going to get into the 3520s or not again. Do you think they can make up that gap? Well, they've definitely done it with the volume. When we fell down, it really felt like the market makers just kind of let it do it. They pulled. Both of you guys' comments, like, what are you even? What is even your thesis at this point? I think they're just consolidating a little bit so that they can get some more room to move up. They're not done. 3505 right now. Hmm. No, that's not what he was trying to say at all. It seemed to me, and I could be wrong, that he said the word feminism like it was a bad thing that women had equal rights and equal pay. No, because what you need to realize is that feminism has morphed into something different, right? We think that feminism is like a normal person hears the word feminism and they think that, it's the feminism from the 60s where they fought for equal work, equal pay for equal work, right? But that's not what feminism means anymore. If you look to the feminist movement today, which is to mean the people that are prominently promoting feminism and that's their thing, that's not what they believe. That's why we can specify it further to third wave feminism. It's just the feminist movement as a whole. And that's why so many of these people um, don't call themselves feminists anymore because they think that the mainstream feminist movement is promoting ideas that are bad, and I agree with them. They're pushing for discrimination, not the removal of discrimination. When they do a recount, is it the same usual suspects who did the first count? That's a good question. Live action. I think that it is, but I think that there are also a lot more rules about which, how you can disqualify ballots and so forth. I don't remember how that worked in Florida. The real issue here is that the laws in these states are messed up, right? I think you're trying to put words in his mouth now. Like, here's the thing: is he's saying you want that we do believe that equal pay for equal work? You agree? What are you arguing about? Florida did it right and Trump won. Well, here's the thing: live action. Florida has been trending more Republican, more and more Republican. Every day, it's getting more and more Republican. Georgia and Atlanta, in particular, has been trending more and more Democrat. So the places, like, the outcome in these states is not really all that off kilter, Like, I understand the arguments that there's aberrations in the data, but an aberration is not proof of fraud in and of itself. And none of the outcomes that we're seeing are really that unbelievable. Okay. Like, if they somehow flipped Utah, then I would be like, what the heck? Something's wrong. AV. Well, we're going to talk about it. We can talk about whatever we want. And I'm going to talk about politics because it matters to the market very much. We just moved up. What was it? 15 points? It was more than that. We moved up and down 20 points just off of whether or not Donald Trump would concede the election here. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the politics. People in the beginning of time? Wrong. I disagree with you, Omar. Rights don't come from the government. Rights don't come from what you're given. Rights are innate. Rights are from God. That's what we believe in this country. In the United States, at least, is that rights are derived from God and are self-evident. I did. I absolutely did. Here's the interesting thing about our channel and the Discord too, to be quite frank. We like literally never have any problems. Like, the times that I actually have to like do moderation, like, never happens. So you guys might not be quite as familiar with the way that I moderate. But I've moderated a lot. I consider myself to be pretty good at this, the moderation thing, because I've been in communities as long as the internet has been around. At the forefront, seeing different ways to moderate and what works and what doesn't work. And I am hard, is how I would describe it. So AB was probably Salim trying to troll me. It was very obvious from what he said and why he said it and everything else that he's trying to stir up trouble. So yeah, I immediately banned him. If you don't want to get banned, don't try and stir up trouble like that. Especially trying to mention other channels and stuff like that. That's an obvious troll. Obvious troll. You're going to be banned, no question about it. Especially if you're new or don't know who you are. But it was probably Salim. Yep. It was probably Salim. There you go. JP, rights are given by God. Everyone and everything has a right. Yeah, there you go. Yep. And I believe that at least on the issues relating to feminism, that United States laws are in line with what human rights are. So It's kind of a mute argument then at that point, isn't it? Unless you believe that it's not and you want to make a rule or a law change. So here's what I would say to you guys. If either of you want to continue this conversation, then I would say make a claim about a law that you think should be changed. And we can talk about the law that you think should be changed. Otherwise, it's kind of a pointless conversation. You're just arguing at each other because you think that you don't like each other, I think. I don't know. You're talking about legal rights. Okay, so do you think that there's a legal right that should be removed, or is or isn't? What law should be changed? Do you think the law should be changed, Omar? We're a religious-based country. Oh, that's a different discussion. Georgia's definitely getting recounted. Yeah. No, over here. Live monitor geopolitical winners and losers of a Biden presidency. Germany win. France win, short-lived. Italy always a loser. Turkey winner. China fire. Russia loves the chaos anyways. Yeah. India big loss. Oh yeah, I love India. UK truly an island now. Yeah. Always. Oh, that's such a good point. Oh man. He's right. Like, is Biden not going to be kind to a UK because of Brexit? That would really suck for the UK, man. Israel, serious blow, probably. Saudi Arabia, loser. Iran, winner, maybe. I don't know. Would Biden try and bring back the Iran deal? I don't know how that'll work. Okay. So they're moving here into my stop zone. The U.S. being a Christian nation was something the Republican Party started to push hard in the 80s. I don't know about that 50 ghosts. I'm not too familiar with the history on that particular thing, so I have to go back and look at that and think about it. I think that the United States being a religious country was always a thing up until the post World War II era, when the United States became more secular. And I think that Republicans started to push it in the 80s because they wanted to go back to that era, per se. And it wasn't like something that they just kind of pulled out of their butts. It's just that, like, it wasn't a thing before that, you know? I heard him crying. I thought something was, but mom was right there. My baby. My baby. You ever watch that movie? What is it? Spirited Away. And Granny, she's got that baby. That's what I always think of when the baby starts crying. Is my baby. Me with a gigantic nose, huge head, tiny little body. Oh, good. It's a good show. Yeah, a good show. And the kids like it too. It's a weird show, and I wouldn't expect the kids to like it, but for some reason, the kids really like it. Oh, yeah. Why is it? The Hill is so behind on something sometimes on their Twitter account. Steve Bannon's Twitter account suspended. Yes, welcome to 12 hours ago. He deserved it. Good riddance. I don't like him anymore. I really shouldn't be trashing Steve Bannon, but I don't like him. I really don't. I was going to go into that earlier and I didn't. At this point, you have to start thinking about the post-Trump Republican Party. Except for that it's not it's not like Donald Trump is going away. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the Republican Party, when Trump is no longer president, and where do you go from there? And if you're a Donald Trump supporter, you really want to start thinking about what you want that to be like. Okay? I think that probably a lot of them would love to just have their own party. And you know what? I kind of agree with them because there are just too many things that the Republicans do that even though I agree with them on principle on things, I just think that they're so terrible at it. And it seems to me like there is some incentives that are just too entrenched in the party structure that prevent them from doing what they really should be doing. You know what I mean? Mm. What's the gain from being uncool to the UK due to Brexit? I don't think that he would do it to gain or lose anything. I think that's just going to be their tendency, is to support the EU over the UK. We'll see. It was also when anti-intellectualism started ramping up as well. Well, so I think that anti-intellectualism, I think that that has been grossly misrepresented. So let me give you a really good example. Here's the perfect example of this. People will call me will call me anti-intellectual, but it's the opposite. Okay. I don't ever want to hear the name Nate Silver ever again. He was so dead wrong about everything. His entire system that he is using to predict the elections is a complete and utter nonsense. He is completely misapplying the science. He was dead wrong, and there's no reason to ever listen to him about anything ever again. He should not have a job. I mean, he'll still have his blog, of course, but why would anybody listen to him now? I really. And you go and find Nassim Taleb, his Twitter account. Here we have literally the most famous and smart data scientist of our age. Man, EU Brexit negotiator Barnier, the UK must internalize what's needed for a deal, and that they're selling off on that. Well, we'll get out. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I made $50. I'm done. Yeah, I should have been trailing my stop. Are they really going down off of Brexit? Hold on. Pelosi's speaking too. Okay, anyways, let me continue pontificating if I can. Nobody should ever listen to Nate Silver again. And Nassim Taleb has done a big, long video. He has a YouTube channel, actually. Did you know? And he talks about Bayesian analytics and why Nate Silver's system is nonsense. Is that anti-intellectualism? The reality is that data science cannot tell us the things that many of the data scientists are telling us they can. The reality is that the next stock movement cannot be predicted by some system. News is more influential than any technical in the market and will completely wipe out literally anything that you're seeing on your chart. Can you make money from quantitative analysis? Yeah, especially if you're doing market making techniques. But it doesn't predict the future. There's severe limitations. There's severe limitations with the predictive nature of these systems. These predictive systems. There's severe limitations with them. And they keep telling us that they know everything and that they can predict everything, and they're full of shit. They really can't. And these regular people that don't know anything about the data are 100% right to be saying, we shouldn't listen to you because you're wrong so often. But we have a group of people out there that want like literally everything to be run off of this stuff. And it's a bad idea. Because the science is way more limited than what they're telling us. Does it come in from somebody that's spent a considerable amount of time, studying the data science? Why Seth hates Nate Silver. I really do. Because I saw from the very beginning him was saying things that was like here's the thing is, okay, so you have a system. I have systems, and they're not perfect, like my Bitcoin thing. And the very first thing that you should be saying is, okay, well, here's where it might be wrong, or how you deal with it being wrong. But Nate Silver doesn't do that. Nate Silver pretends like, I should always be right, and that one was just an aberration. Nah, 2 elections now in a row, you're dead wrong, dude. Full of crap. And there's all of these people out there way more knowledgeable about it than him, saying that his system is nonsense. But the media holds him up as the expert. I hate it. Watch a slow boil from mid-80s into the early mid-90s, where smart people became fair game. I think that people are, another thing is smart. There's this idea. Well, let me take this another step further, okay? There is a school of thought that believes that if you're smart, you should be put in charge of things, and that if we put smart people in charge of the government, that we'll have a well-functioning government and that everything will be taken care of because the smart people know what they're doing. No. No, no, no. Absolute, complete, utter nonsense. The smartest human being on this planet is still a fucking idiot. Okay? Humans make mistakes. Humans have built-in cognitive dissonances and biases and stuff that will cause them to make poor decisions. And most importantly of all, humans react to incentives. Humans react to incentives, and any group of people that you give power corrupts. It doesn't matter if they're smart or stupid or what. So no, don't give everything over to the smart people. Make the power as decentralized as possible. This is why there is a push against smart people. It's not because they hate smart people because they're stupid or something. It's because they understand that being smart doesn't mean that you should be given all of the power. They're right. Trump 51 spot 4 in Arizona versus 45 spot 8. Oh, that was just a breakdown of those ballots in Maricopa. But that's not enough for him to take the state. I see. Biden leads by 43,000. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the deal was with that stop run, if it really was just Brexit, but I wish. I know today was a rant day. It's okay. I'd like to take another one still. Mm. See, you guys are still just talking past each other. Umar, the answer is the answer to Ace's question is yes. You just say yes and then he's done, right? That's the other extreme needs balance. I don't think it's extreme. I I don't. You might be back a little bit if you go. That's okay. Sometimes if you refresh the YouTube or you click the live button down at the bottom, it'll bring you back to current. But um, uh, yeah, what was I gonna say? No, you shouldn't be. The power should be decentralized. That's my point. I think you run into problems when you give one person so much power. President of the United States, perfect example. Well, they're back to the open, and they're kind of toying with that. I don't know what's gonna happen because I don't know why that. Uh, uh, okay, whatever. Some guy posted this link. I was like, I don't think that matters. You got lucky. Narrows, but he doesn't overtake Biden. $11 a.m. a buy program probably ate everything. Well, look at the cumulative delta. Right. The market makers just let go, and then the buying there was able to pull it back, snap back because it created a liquidity vacuum. 50 says there's too much nuance in discussing this to be had in text. You're probably right. Maybe a discussion for Discord or something, or the comments in the video later. kind of a curious area here. They don't look too anxious to do anything here, so you just kind of have to relax. What is John going on about? I don't know. You guys all sound grumpy to me. Data science can't tell you when a black man from the suburbs that owns a handgun to protect himself will vote for a Republican just so he can keep his gun, or why a Mexican immigrant will support the concept of a border wall because they weren't happy with the illegal immigrants flooding into North Mexico from other South American countries, which is why they moved to the U.S. in the first place. There you go. Well, yeah, I mean, and not only that, but the data that they were using is just garbage. It's like, if Democrats are 3 times more likely to respond to your poll, don't you think that that kind of makes your poll useless? It kind of limits the efficacy of your poll. But they can't say that, then nobody buy their poll, right? Senate committee talk from Graham. If we keep the Senate, which I think we will, and I become budget chairman, I like to create a dialogue about how we can finally begin to address the debts. Cool. I guess. I don't think that has anything to do with smart people. I think it's they distrust anything that the media says. Well, it sure doesn't like me. They must really want to sell it or something. I kind of feel like that there's some bears out there that want to be really aggressive, and when it happens, the bulls all just kind of like, oh wait, what? Huh? And kind of pull back. But then in reality, there are more bulls in the end, and so it just snaps back. But that move down wasn't particularly great. Hmm. Yeah, it's too aggressive and don't stick. Yeah. And honestly, a lot of it feels like just liquidity pulling. That last one, there was a decent cumulative delta change on it. But like, look at that one compared to that one. I don't know if that's a good example. Like the delta when they were buying because they thought Donald Trump was going to concede was more. Gunmaker stocks soar as Biden lead grows, I bet. It's probably too late to get into the gun trade, isn't it? I don't know. Well, those could just keep going. It's. Hmm. Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking about this. Like, it might come back, but I'm just not feeling it, and I'm just gonna eat that loss and stop. Maybe you guys aren't grumpy. Maybe it's me. Gosh dang it, guys! My barbecue stopped working, so I'm not gonna get as nice of a brisket. And you know what? I'm gonna record a video. Well, I don't have to work today, actually. I'm gonna record a video about my indicators. You guys want to stick around and watch that? Tell me what you think. You want me to do that live and edit it with you guys? You can keep me company. I don't know if you guys are sticking around for much longer because this is about the time most people go. I need to use. So let me know what you think. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. Purpose is to add momentum for whichever side is funding the poll. No, I think that they do it because they want to know who's going to win. Oh, okay. You know what? You want to do this? I'm going to do this. Let's see if I. So it'll be nice to have you guys here with me because, you can ask me questions about it. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys my indicators. I'm going to do it. I'm going to come over here and make this one like really big. I don't know why you're being so. Omar was being so evasive. You should just say yes. Okay, but let's focus on what we're doing now. Let's stop those conversations if it could. All right. I want you to pay attention. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record a video here about my indicators, and we're going to use that. You know what? We need to do a little bit of work here, or we're going to make a video out of it, so that you guys know what you get if you decide to use them. Now I need to come over here and find all of the images that I've done in the past little while. Now I will put them on. Where's my works? This one. Big Sally loses in Arizona, by the way, I'm hearing on the squawk. There it is. And there's one. That one was from the same day. That is a good one. It was an interesting day. I don't care about that one. Oh, yes, I like these. Oh, don't do that, Ace. What did he say? You're asking the wrong guy. I don't know if that was justified, Ace. But whatever. Okay. Did you put him on timeout? Oh yeah, you put him on timeout. That's okay. Yeah, let's change the conversation though. I'm going to show you guys my indicators, and if there's anything unclear about it, you can ask me about it here. All right. That one's a good example of where it can really, really rip lower. I wish that I had taken the picture of that later in the day because I'm sure it comes back. Yeah, this one is ugly. I don't want to keep that one. Man, when I start going back through all of the examples, it really is something else, isn't it? Won't put him on timeout if he doesn't bring up human rights without answering my question. Yeah, well, I just, let's not talk about it anymore, okay? Wow, yeah. I've been using this stuff for a long time. I'm like going through and I'm like, wow, I've been doing this way longer than I thought. Oh, this one is so perfect, yeah. Oh, here's one. What's going on that one? There's some big orders messing around on there. Freaky stuff. Passive orders of 2.5 moving around. Yeah, that was a lot of. I have so many examples like that. Oh, perfect. Okay. Good stuff right there. So how we should do this? Okay. Here's one with the spread. And here's one with the spread candles. And the dollar index. Recount likely in Pennsylvania, they're saying. Yep, whatever. I don't see why you guys don't really have a reason to argue. Okay. How should I do this? What do you think? I'm going to write myself a little outline here, okay? Go to this camera. Okay. Can you make custom time frame candles? Oh, you could already do that, right? You can just change you could get, you make a new chart and set it to second bars and make it be 90 seconds or whatever. And then you would have that. Okay. And I should be able to start recording here like this. So yeah, if you have questions about what I'm saying, then ask them in the chat, because I'm going to turn this into a main YouTube video, so I'm going to record it separately. But this would be a good way to, like, there's things that aren't clear, we can answer the questions now, so you guys could really help. So pay attention, and if there's something that I say, or even if you don't like that cut, like, we can do multiple cuts here, right? Because we're going to record all of this and edit it later. So I don't have to work today, so we're just going to take an hour or two and do this right now, right? So if you got the time, you can stick around. I would appreciate it. Okay. Jeez. You know what? Still there. Actually, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to. No, we'll just continue it on this one. I clicked the wrong button. I clicked the wrong button. I started doing my thing, but I had clicked stop streaming, not start recording. I'm like, why did it go out? Okay, I'm going to record this, all right? Koolid says, what are you trying to do? So I have an indicator suite, and we're going to make a video explaining all of the indicators. And I thought, since I don't have to work today, and if you guys want to watch, that you can watch me record this, because I'm going to do it from this machine. I'm going to do the setup and all that. So while I'm explaining the indicators, if you have questions about them, you can ask me in chat, and that way we can have it in the video. You guys can help me make a better video, basically. Make sense? So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to explain why I'm putting it out, and then I'm going to go through all of the indicators and show what the advantages of them are. All right? So I have been running this YouTube channel for about 3 years now. And from the very beginning, I've always been writing my own indicators. That's one of my things, is I can program really well in C#, make just about anything I can think of. And so I'm always trying new things and trying to find new edges. And from the very beginning, people have always been asking me if they could have access to my indicators. And I've made a lot of indicators available for free, but there's kind of a core set that I've been using that, I've been keeping to myself, because, that's kind of my edges, that I can see these things and not necessarily everybody has. But everybody's always been begging me to have them. And I've found, as I've been developing these indicators, and I've been using a couple of members to test these and everything, I've found that there is a lot more that can be done with these. And man, does it look like all choppy to you guys? Because when I'm watching this on YouTube, it's choppy AF. Yep. Skipped frames due to lag. That not gonna work at all, is it? Stopping recording. I guess I'm just gonna have to do it on my own. See, now it's fine, isn't it? Yep, it is. Need a better video card, apparently. Might have also happened because we got a bunch of orders in and everything. What just happened? Yes. Let's check our resources. Oh my. No. Yeah. OBS was totally dying there. Okay, well, you know what? I guess I'm just gonna have to end the stream. Sorry, guys. You were all like, "Oh, I want to watch it." No, probably you didn't care. It's okay. You'll see the video on Monday. But yeah, I think I need to stop it because that was awful. So I will catch you guys next week. No, Ace is like, no. I don't know how else to do it. I would need to use different encoder. So yeah. In fact, I don't know. OBS is still using 53% CPU, so there's something wrong. Oh, he's got to run now anyways. Okay, cool. All right. Stay profitable, friends.